Of all the Greek gods, it appears there are a few names that will always stand out, regardless of where you are in the world. Zeus, the god of the sky, Hades, the god of the underworld, and Poseidon, the god of the sea, tend to get the most love. Could it be that they just so happen to be the most feared of all the Greek gods? Potentially, or maybe what they were believed to do had an everlasting impact. Not to say that the other gods who resided on Mount Olympus weren't on the same level as the previous three, but in media, it seems the names Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon are brought up the most. And given that you guys seem to enjoy our video about the god of water and thunder, Poseidon, we figured why not talk a little bit more about his brother, Zeus. Although the two appear to be similar, at least in regards to physique, they are quite different when it comes down to it. Today in LBQ, we're asking, what if Zeus was real? Smash that like button, or I don't know, guys. You know, big man up there might just smite you down. Talking about Zeus, just to clarify, he's the guy in the sky. Now, the interesting thing with all the Greek gods, or any religion really, is that it could sometimes be a big old game of broken telephone. To no surprise, some sources claim that Poseidon was the god of thunder, but it was in fact his brother Zeus who was truly the king of the skies. Although Poseidon had the abilities to create and control storms, given that he was the god of storms and the sea, it seems given that Zeus was the god of the skies, he too could control and create thunderstorms. Traditionally, Zeus has been depicted as a big, muscular, bearded man, I'm talking about Zeus, not me, who looked incredibly similar to his brother Poseidon. A major difference between the two would be what they carried, with Poseidon usually seen with a trident and Zeus typically having a scepter in one hand and lightning bolt in the other. That's why his nickname was Lightning McQueen. It wasn't. Over the years, many people have fallen under the impression that all the gods who reside on Mount Olympus were equals to each other. Now, contrary to popular belief, at least as per some sources, it appears this actually wasn't the case at all. Even though the gods were all related to each other in one way or another, whether it be brother and sister or through birth, it seems Zeus is commonly seen as the god of gods and more. So before we start talking about the god of gods ruling us, let's go over Zeus' story dating back to when he was just a wee baby god. Zeus is the offspring of Cronus and Rhea. Cronus was the god of the heavens, after taking the position from his father, Uranus, in which he overpowered his old man. Naturally fearing that at some point his own children would do the same to him, Cronus decided to swallow each of his children. And he succeeded, swallowing Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, all siblings of Zeus. However, knowing the patterns of her husband and the father of her children, Rhea decided she was going to save Zeus from his father, and wrapped a stone in clothing in hopes of fooling Cronus. The trick worked, and Cronus swallowed a rock covered in clothing under the impression it was his own son Zeus. In reality, Zeus was sent away to a cave on Crete, where he would be guarded by Curetes, warriors, or, according to some sources, spirits who would clash their weapons to drown out the baby's cries. Zeus was raised by Gaia, the goddess of earth. However, other sources claim it was the nymph Amalthea who claimed she was a goat. Either way, Zeus wasn't swallowed by his father, thanks to his mother, who ensured he'd be protected and grow into an adult. That's really all you guys need to know. And that's exactly what happened. Upon reaching adulthood, Zeus would then return home, and as you can imagine, some sources claim that he demanded his father throw up his brothers and sisters, while other sources claim that Zeus served his father a mixture of wine and mustard, leading to Cronus to get sick and thus throw up all of Zeus' siblings. To no surprise, Zeus' siblings were appreciative of this gesture and became allies with him rather quickly. More specifically, Zeus and his brothers Hades and Poseidon teamed up and had weapons forged so they could wage a war on the Titans. The siblings succeeded with the help of others and ultimately overthrew their father, Cronus, leading the three brothers to divide up the world into their own territories. As we know, Hades would go on to rule the underworld, Poseidon the seas, and Zeus the skies. And given that Zeus has defended his throne time and time again, fighting off other gods and monsters who challenged him, it appeared he was the true god of all gods. Aside from saving his siblings from his father, Zeus also led the group to overthrow Cronus, and ultimately held that position until the end of time. He would go on to marry his sister, Hera, and they would have numerous children together. However, our boy Zeus, he's a bit of a dog, and let's just say he enjoyed himself time and time again with numerous women. This man got around, and was not ashamed of it. But I mean, imagine if a literal god wanted to get with you. How could you say no? Big burly guy, got the beard, lightning bolt in hand, and he's like, let's do it. I would be like, alright. However, Zeus didn't always appear to be a big muscular man with a beard. Instead, he would transform himself into different things to woo whoever it was he wanted. So think about that again. For me, I see a beautiful girl. I don't know it's Zeus. I'd probably still do it. Now, aside from not being able to keep it in his pants, Zeus was also sometimes referred to as the Punisher. Given that he was often residing in the clouds, or heavens as many sources have put it, he not only ruled other gods, but the entire human race. Similar to his brother Poseidon, Zeus had the abilities to control the weather, including rain, clouds, lightning, and thunder. Some claim he was even responsible for the day and night, how fast or slow time could move for mortals, aka us humans, and could control whether or not his sisters or children would have their abilities as gods. Given that he is often described as muscular with the ability to legitimately move mountains, you'd think this man wouldn't be all that fast. But again, you'd be wrong. I mean, he is a literal god, so he can do anything. He was a mix of Brock Lesnar and Usain Bolt, a big, burly, roided out man who could move as fast as the speed of lightning. His weapon of choice was often a lightning bolt, which had the power to literally destroy other gods. So all in all, Zeus truthfully makes Thanos, even with all of his stones equipped, look like a little, we'll say a little punk. That's what word I'll use. We'll call him a punk. And now, given all that we know about this godly being, let's talk about what life would be like if he were real. Of course, one could argue that would mean all the other gods would have to exist as well. However, I'm sure we've already done a video covering that. And if not, let us know if that's something you guys would like to see. For this video, we'll pretend that just Zeus and only Zeus were real. As was the case with the Poseidon video, naturally, people who currently believe or pray to the god of Zeus would likely feel pretty good about themselves. The whole they were right all along kind of thing. In regards to other religions, again, as I mentioned in our video about Poseidon, it'd be very interesting to see how those who practice would react. Would they suddenly start praying to Zeus, given that he would literally be a physical presence among us in a godly form? Or would this potentially lead them to believe more into their own religion, under the impression that if one god is currently walking the earth, it's only a matter of time until their god or gods in general also come to earth? Now, given that Zeus was not only the god of gods, but also the god of the human race, odds are the majority of the world's population would get behind showing some love and support for their new leader, in this case, Zeus. Those who didn't could potentially be struck down or made an example of. Not to say that Zeus didn't respect other religions, but he didn't like to be disobeyed, and given that he was seen as the god of gods, I mean, if you're praying to the person or being that prays to Zeus, it kind of inevitably makes you a worshiper of Zeus, whether you like it or not. You know what I'm saying? The truth is, Zeus was one who believed in justice, following a code of conduct, at least for the most part, but not when it came to being faithful to your wife. But that's besides the point, guys. Known to strike down or punish anyone who would do evil or break their oaths, it'd be very interesting to see if people all over the world would respect Zeus and his powers. Initially, odds are people wouldn't believe he's the real deal, and unfortunately, it would lead to some people dying at the hands of Zeus, simply for him to prove to everyone else that he is in fact the real deal. But that doesn't mean we'd all be slaves to him. In fact, if anything, he would likely let us go about our daily lives, only punishing those who committed crimes or treated others poorly. An interesting point to note, however, is that the code of conduct we currently abide by, and the laws that Zeus would have lived by, could be drastically different. I mean, I'm sure times have changed, after all the years. As we know, for the most part, being unfaithful to your partner or spouse is now frowned upon. Depends on the situation, I guess, but mostly it's a no-go. Zeus, on the other hand, he was known for getting around. Many would likely try to understand ancient Greek philosophies and ways of living, assuming those are the ideologies that Zeus would continue to live by. It seems although he wasn't faithful to just one woman, he hated liars, so much so that he would punish anyone who would do such a thing. Hopefully this means that the world would be full of more honest people and crime rates would go down, assuming those who broke the law or lied would be punished, potentially killed by Zeus. And that does not seem like it'd be a good time. Maybe we can even get rid of jails, because anybody who did wrong would just have to deal with Zeus, so why would you need a jail, right? I don't know, just a thought. Many would likely monitor the weather as well, as the ancient Greeks were under the impression that thunder was a symbol of Zeus's presence. The Olympic Games would also be a much, much bigger deal than they already are, as they were started in honor of Zeus himself. Odds are the Olympic events would become an international holiday, celebrated all around the world, with the sole focus likely being, you guessed it, Zeus. Who'd you guys think I was gonna say? Simone Biles or Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps? I mean, the two of them are retired, and Biles, she just pulled out, so I don't think, All in all, if Zeus were real, it's possible he'd make the world a better place, but it's also possible he'd be way too powerful for any of us to even comprehend. That we need to just do whatever we can do in hopes of keeping him happy. And this, of course, is also assuming he was the only god and all of his siblings were non-existent. But if you guys want a video about what if all the Greek gods were real, well, let us know down below. I think that'd be quite a wild time, with them all competing for control. But it'd be fun. Then again, I think Zeus would have the full control, because he's like the god of gods, right? I don't know. For now, let's do some comment replies from the video. What if Poseidon was real in 2021? Lone Wolf said, I imagine he would live in the Mariana Trench. That was a great point. I should have said that. And I'm glad you said that, but I probably should have said that, because that's the deepest part of the ocean, and that's probably where he would reside. But what about Atlantis? Didn't he live in Atlantis? I should know, I just did a video on him. I did a lot of videos since. Asim said, if Poseidon was real, life would be much more interesting. I don't know. I think life's pretty. I mean, like we're living through a pandemic right now. I think it's pretty interesting what we're going through right now. Like that's what we're dealing with right now is not normal either. This is pretty. I don't want to say it's interesting, but like looking back, it's going to be an interesting time with everything that we've gone through: the vaccines, the masks, the not knowing what it is, people taking the toilet paper, which we like. What? Like what? Just saying. H2 Ocean 8 said Poseidon is the best god. I can see why you said that because your name is H2 Ocean, which by the way, great play on words. That's a great name to have. But we'll see how Zeus feels about that. I wouldn't say that to Zeus. I think he'd have something to say. All right, guys, that's all for this one. I've been your boy Pepper, aka Mr. Spicy. We got the tank top because you know it's hot in my room and I'm already sweating. So we'll see you guys soon. Smash that like button. Let's go, baby.